caliber of the materials is important. I mean, if you've got a piece of wood that's sopping wet, it isn't gonna work. I mean, eventually the guitar is gonna warp. I mean, you can imagine if this piece of wood here is way wetter than this piece of wood here, eventually when it dries, the instrument's gonna warp. You don't want that to happen. It is the fundamental basis of making the instrument. Hey everybody, it's Paul. This is the first video of a series of videos having to do with the rules of tone, which is a document I wrote to try to help guide me and our company on what was important in making instruments. And today we're going to talk a lot about wood. And I wanted to start by talking about how important wood's always been to me. I mean, we could have made the guitars out of graphite. We could have made the instruments out of plastic. I've actually played a really good plastic guitar, really good. But for me to start experimenting, I wouldn't have been able to pay my rent. So I trusted the masters had done all this research. Eventually we got to try it all. Eventually we got to try Coca-Cola, and we got to try lacewood and Zirconi and all these other woods to make instruments out of. And I can tell you, we found some real gems. But in the beginning, it was always a mahogany body, a mahogany neck, and a rosewood fingerboard, or with violins, an ebony fingerboard, and a maple neck, and a maple body, and a spruce top, or with the whole fender side, a swamp ash body, and a maple neck with either a maple fingerboard or a rosewood fingerboard. There's something, for me, very beautiful about, you know, a curly maple top like this, or a mahogany back like this, you know. And they ring like crazy. I mean, this stuff just rings. It's a beautiful tone to it. You're looking for a very musical acoustic tone picked up by pickups that then themselves have a very musical tone. So this combination of all these different notes, you know, whether it be the note of the fingerboard, which has a very low note and a high note, or it be the note of the neck, or the note of the body. You take a piece of body wood and it's got a ring to it. You start to combine all these things, you're going to get an acoustic tone from the instrument. The body has one tone and the neck is kind of the tine of the instrument, like on a marimba, and you get another one from that, and then you're putting these magnetic pickups on the guitar and you start to get a sound. So the caliber of the materials is important. I mean, if you've got a piece of wood that's sopping wet, it isn't going to work. I mean, eventually the guitar is going to warp. I mean, you can imagine if this piece of wood here is way wetter than this piece of wood here, eventually when it dries, the instrument's going to warp. You don't want that to happen. It is the fundamental basis of making the instrument. I mean, you want the instrument to survive over a very long period of time, hopefully way longer than our lifetimes or a kid's lifetime. So in these videos, we're going to be bringing in a lot of the key PRS management team to talk about their experiences in each of these areas. The first one I'm going to bring on is Max. Max has been with us about 7 years. Max, can you join me? Welcome.
Hey, Paul.
So, are you up for having a discussion about woods?
Always.
Are you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Tell everybody what you do for a living.
So I'm a production manager. I work in the body team in the Woodshop.
So how many people you have working for you?
So we have 34 people in our area currently.
And your job is to get all the woods glued together and sanded and made into a guitar, right?
Yeah, we're the end of the line for the wood shop. So the neck team handles their thing. We receive the bodies carved from the CNC machines. We'll sand them, make sure they're ready for finish, glue the necks into the body.
So it becomes a guitar in your hands.
Exactly.
Right, okay. Well, that's cool. So there's a long history of the wood drying processes at PRS. And when we started the company, we knew not just that we needed to get it dried and re-dried, but we needed to acclimate to this humidity-controlled factory. Mm-hmm. There's a magic in that if you make the guitar at 72 degrees at 48, 45% relative humidity, somehow it's going to survive a dry summer in Arizona. It's going to survive an incredibly wet winter or summer in Florida. It's going to, you know, when you're heating stuff up in Montana, and it's really cold out, the air in the house is incredibly dry. The guitar's got to survive. And somehow, when we get the wood in a 72 degrees, 45% relative humidity environment, and it is able to acclimate after we've re-dried it, the guitars make it through all those things that you ship the guitar out to, you know? I know your job's to get the body all ready to go and put the neck in, but it's the wood drying team's job really to make sure the guitar survives long after it ships out of here.
They're laying the foundation.
Yeah, and so when we started, we had to put in all these processes, which you see all the time. And how long, let's say one of these tops, before you're allowed to turn it into a body, after we've double dried it, how long does it sit out there to acclimate to the humidity controlled factory?
So it'll sit on the shop floor for 2 weeks.
Just sitting there.
Just sitting there, yep.
And the goal is to get the water and the wood to be even throughout. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine, you know, I'll give you an example. If there's an old table in your grandparents' house and it's been sitting there 100 years, it's about 6.5 or 7% water. It picks up water from the air. The theory is that when you're drying a piece of wood very often, just because the wood's so thick at the point of drying, that it's always a little wetter in the middle than it is on the outside. And what we've discovered is if you over dry the wood, so the whole thing's over dried, even though it's a little wetter in the middle, when you let it acclimate and come back up, then the whole thing's the same water. That's what the theory is. There's been a lot of little adjustments just to get things more and more stable. When we started using swamp ash, it was acting different than alder, and we needed to learn, right? I can tell you that South American mahogany and African mahogany, even though they look almost identical, dry differently.
Yeah.
For the most part, whether it be red maple or sugar maple or big leaf maple or Acer family, Acer is the genus, right? Pretty much stick for all those woods. But I can tell you, you don't treat maple the same way you treat mahogany. It's just not that way. And there's been a huge amount of learning over time. This is the most stable that drying process has ever been. And I actually went to Tom, who's in charge of all the air conditioning systems in the building, and thanked him the other day because this is the most stable that room's ever been.
Yeah. So what does all of that mean for the player at home who now has their guitar, they brought it home, they love it? How does that impact their ownership?
Well, especially with the neck, where the fingerboard's exposed to the humidity and temperature in the house, whereas the back of the neck is got a finish on it, so it's not as exposed. Do you think it'd be good if every 2 weeks he had to adjust the truss rod, or every 2 weeks he had to bring it to the repair shop? The setup on my guitar is changed. That's not what I'm after. What I'm after is that 2 weeks or 2 months or 6 months doesn't make any difference. That the guitar is stable. You know, he picks it out of the case and it's fine.
Yeah, the beauty is they don't have to worry about it.
Look, I still think that really good musical instruments, there should be a highly skilled repairman, just like your doctor, you know, that takes care of the instrument. I mean, these old violins are in the repair shop all the time, and that's okay with me. But I don't think that the thing should be moving every few days. That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Your experience and your employees' experience is what? Stable or unstable?
Stable.
Why? How stable?
How stable? It's a tough question to quantify, isn't it? Because really what you're working with is different densities and different woods.
That's right.
And so from one guitar to the next, it was a living thing at one point. It grew differently in its environment. So you're taking something that has a ton of variation, and we're trying to get it as close to possible as our desired goal. Coming into the building, we do a little work. In the building, we do a little work. Coming over to my team, it's as good as it's going to get. So really what we're looking at is the most consistent iteration of one swamp ash piece of wood to the next.
I agree. So this body you guys brought out of your area, right? I don't feel the wood expanding or contracting any difference on this wood joint. How long has this thing been cut like this?
That particular one, probably a couple of years.
Couple of years, and it's not moving.
Not at all.
Well, that's the goal. The reason we've developed all these wood drying processes over a long period of time was so that when you went like this or you went like this, there was no difference in the size, because maple expands and contracts at a different rate than mahogany does, depending on what the water is in the air.
Yeah.
So I just got informed that this is actually 12 years old, which means the wood drying specs 12 years ago were just as good as they are now. Well, that's good, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So on my end of the shop, we're receiving an already built and cut body, but there's a lot that happens before it.
Yeah.
What goes into that?
Well, it depends. If the wood came in kiln dried, we re-dry it in the ovens, and then we stabilize it. If it comes in air dried, we have to get it to kiln dried and then re-dry it again. If it comes in wet, which sometimes happens, we have to get it air dried and then we have to get it kiln dried and then we have to get it re-dried, right? So it depends on how much water is. We use a thing like this which measures the electricity that goes between the two pins, and that tells us with a number what percentage water's in it, you know? I mean, you can actually turn it on from my finger, you know? It says my finger's 27.9% water, which it's not, but it's funny over here. I'm not going to stick it all the way into the bone. But generally, this stuff comes in, and then we find out where it's at, and then we get it down to kiln drying level, which is 7-8%, and then we re-dry it down to 6 and bring it back up. With the fingerboards, we re-dry it all the way down to 2% and let it come back up. But when you get it, it's been through one hell of a process to get it stable. In terms of quality inspection, there's got to be multiple places where you're doing quality inspection. Can you explain to everybody what that's about?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are always checking through different stages, and what we're checking for expands. Initially, you're checking to make sure that it's going to be structurally sound, it's been dried properly, it's been graded properly. It comes out of that CNC machine and it looks like a guitar, but it still needs a little bit of love. And that's where we start grading for sanding errors, grading for shape and consistency, while also checking for everything that we checked for before. So that dryness and stability of the wood is still a requirement at that stage. We're just now adding more things we're checking for in this quality check. So out of the machine, out of sanding, we'll QC check it again. It gets the neck put into it at neck body assembly, where it goes through another final quality control check. Before it leaves the wood shop and moves into finish, where they will treat the same practices. They're looking for their own additions to that quality check, while also keeping an eye out for anything that we could improve on as well.
When you're talking about it coming out of the CNC machine, that's not one quality check, that's 15.
Yeah, we've been through quite a number to get there. Yeah. And we touched on it before, but it really is a foundational thing. If you don't get it right from the start, nothing you can do down the line is going to fix that for you.
Yeah, fair enough. So is it your team that's inside the pickup cavity? What's that about?
Yeah, so when an employee completes their step of the operation, they initial, most times in the treble pickup cavity. And it's their chance to say, hey, I've finished this guitar. They can put a little bit of themselves with it, right? Yeah. They put their time and their effort into this guitar body.
Well, when they sign it, are they proud of it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Something that I've seen with employees is when we get a guitar back, whether it's something cool like an employee guitar that someone wants to show off to all their friends, or it's something someone bought from outside and's bringing in, hey, check out this guitar from 2004. You still get to go and look, and you pull out that pickup cavity and you see, and sometimes
you take the pickup out of the cavity and see who worked on it.
Of course, yeah, and sometimes you can say, oh, I know that guy, he's still over there.
So what do your employees think? What do they talk about? When they see all this wood, what is the one thing that, hits them? Look, this piece of alder is very, very different than this piece of swamp ash, right? And they ring at different notes. You can hear the different notes. But, they're holding this wood all the time. What are your employees telling you about when they finally get a grasp on what's happening?
First things first is it's an exciting challenge because each one is different. And we train everybody that comes through Body Team to read and understand the wood as an individual. Everyone is a different tree. It was a living thing at one point that absorbed nutrients differently than maybe its buddy over there.
Right.
And so if we treat all of those the same way, it's not going to be a successful approach. We need to look at each one as an individual, and we call it reading the wood.
Seriously?
To help you finish sand.
You guys call it that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah. So whether that's helping you from a finish sand perspective or from a color choice perspective, or even if you get a really beautiful quilt top and you're sanding the top of it, it will misshape in the top just because you're going across different densities of wood. So if you're not aware of how that quilt top is going to sand, that guitar isn't going to look like a PRS for much longer. You really need to have an understanding of your grits, how to handle your sander, and the wood itself. Second, they're thinking about what color. What is that going to turn into?
They actually come to you and say, what color is this guitar going to be?
Oh, yeah. I've had people come to me and ask if we can make this one natural because it's that beautiful to start.
That's interesting. So they actually are having an impact. they'll get into the guitar body, getting it sanded, and they want to have an impact on what color it makes. That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see a difference in the color between this curly maple here and this curly maple here. And these are, one of these is slightly whiter than the other. You can see that. So you're saying that's having an impact on your color choice for that body.
Absolutely. If you try and put Carol blue on a darker piece of maple, it's not going to look blue anymore. You want to put it on something that's nice and bright and white. Whereas if you put something like a black gold on one of those darker pieces of woods, it's playing into its strengths a little more, and really using the characteristics of the wood to dictate the color and make sure that it's going to look up to our standards.
So I don't think I've ever told you this story, but very early on we were getting wood that had green stain in it. That's where emerald green came from.
Really?
Yeah. We had some wood that had black stain in it. That's where charcoal and the black colors came from. Tortoiseshell came from that multicolored wood you're talking about, right? Of all things, I'm playing a charcoal Phoenix guitar now that the wood was completely brown when we bought it, and the wood buyers didn't think we would be able to use it. And I went, oh no, that's going to turn, the charcoal's going to turn into this ridiculous color. So a lot of these colors that you're talking about, some of them actually came from not wanting to throw the wood away.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot that can be learned, and a lot that we can adjust how we treat stuff just by looking at and understanding what we're working with.
So how were you taught when you came here and we had all these drying processes? What did they say to you about why the drying processes were important? How? Because I wasn't the one that taught you that. So who was it, and what did you learn?
So that was over time. Probably the first person I can think of note that taught me something that really stuck with me was Billy Hawthorne, back in bodybuilding.
He's still here.
He's still here. He's been doing it a long time.
I know. I love it.
We get to talk almost every day about what I'm seeing on my end of the shop and what he's seeing on the front end of the shop. You know, helps me get better and learn. But one of the first things that I really learned about this place is that all of this information is so overwhelming to someone at first. So
well,
you
true.
trickle information to them.
There's a book this thick on how we dry the wood.
Exactly. Billy got me started with just a little bit about what figure is and you know, different grades, a 10 top versus a artist grade versus a select top. Once I got that under my belt, then we started looking at, you know, a different pattern in the figuring. Is this something that's more quilt end? Is it a 2B quilt? Is it a bubbly quilt? Lots of different variation in that stuff. As you learn more, your eyes open more, and you get to experience more of it.
You must have been close to him. I'm not allowed to call him Billy. That's Bill Hawthorne. I'm going to use
Did you listen to his album?
I've listened to a lot of his music. I don't know which album you're talking about.
He came out with one 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah. A lot of the people that work for you or work with you or play music, right?
Yeah. And one of the very cool things I've gotten to is play music with them. We've gotten to do a whole bunch of shows at the company, right, with company supported events where it's me and a bunch of my employees playing some songs together. Well, it's a lot of fun.
That's good. Yeah. I like that. Is there anything you want to leave this audience with about, you know, your belief around the woods and the caliber of the woods and the drying of it and why it's so important, all that?
Yeah. The thing I would like to say is just the impact that it has for my team is the consistency. And I think that carries throughout the shop. The consistency of the wood, both how it dried, then leads to how it behaves when we're working it. And because we have the most consistent processes, because we have all of these rules that we follow by to make sure that the wood is where it needs to be coming into the wood shop, we have the most consistent product that we get to work on. And it makes training new employees easier. Still a difficult task like anything, but it makes it to where you have less variables coming to you. And it's more in our hands to make sure that they get up to speed.
That part I feel proud of, because once you get a piece of wood that's stable, it stays stable until it has finish.
It's impressive, especially here in Maryland, where we've got some fun weather swings.
It's a miracle we're in Maryland, because the summertime is really hot and humid. The wintertime can be wet. The wintertime can be dry. We have wildly changing days in the fall and the spring. And under those circumstances, if you didn't have a humidity control facility, you'd be kind of dead.
Yeah, we
have to do it.
We had a few weeks this year, in January, February even, where you come in one day and it's freezing, you come in the next day and it's 65. Yeah. And it's all the same inside, but it's not outside.
You're talking about outside.
Outside, it's all over the place. The second you step in that wood shop, shorts and a t-shirt, that's all you need.
Okay, well, I'm not wearing shorts. A t-shirt I could see. Thanks for being on. Thanks for being a part of this. And I'm glad you're teaching your team. That's great. You tell Billy Hawthorne I said hello.
I will.
All right, good.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you. Well done.